In the early 1970s, the Vietnam War was starting to come to an end, and 18-year-old Arturo Gutierrez Jr. was preparing to enter the United States Air Force. He had been working at a factory, but was always interested in the world around him.
The Vietnam War was all over the TV every night, just showing casualties and the war going on. And the way I remember it is, I wanted to go, I wanted to go over there to help them.
Gutierrez didn't get drafted. Instead, he volunteered to join, and his mother was devastated by his choice.
At that time, it wasn't like today's wars. In the Vietnam War, there was guys getting killed left and right, and everybody knew somebody that already had been killed in the Vietnam War. There were so many people getting killed in it. There's a lot of young kids dying. So my mother, right off the bat, scared that I was going to die. You know, once she heard I was going in, and she asked me, "Why did you do that? Why did you do that?" You know.
A few weeks later, Gutierrez went to boot camp at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. It was there that the reality of Vietnam came to light.
So some of our drill instructors already had been to Vietnam. So all they told us about, if we don't pay attention to them and learn what they're trying to teach us, then if we end up going to Vietnam, we're going to get killed or going to get hurt. So it would be to our best interest to pay attention to what they're teaching us and learn everything. So when we get there, if we go, um, we'd be prepared.
He never received orders to go to Vietnam. Instead, he was sent to Thailand and Cambodia and had the responsibility of guarding former President Richard Nixon while stationed at Homestead Air Force Base in Florida when Nixon would come into town to visit one of his homes.
Now we had the extra responsibility of taking care of the president, security, and Air Force One, and everything that goes along with Air Force One. As far as he had automobiles, he had an entourage, and he had fuel. Air Force One's fuel is guarded, has to have military guards around it too.
But although he didn't see Vietnam firsthand, during his time in Thailand, he often came in contact with the pilots who were bombing Vietnam.
Many times I've seen jets coming back from Vietnam from bombing them, and they'd be all shot up. They'd be landing on the runway, all full of smoke and stuff. And once or twice, I remember a couple of them didn't come back, and it was kind of an eerie feeling because you don't remember exactly who the pilots were.
Today, Gutierrez is a 58-year-old retiree, but he says his time in the military helped shape his life and has kept him fascinated with the media, who he says did a great job of covering Vietnam.
Today's war in Iraq and Afghanistan, you hear about the reporters being vetted and all this, but you can tell, especially I can tell, they don't get to report a lot of stuff the way the way the reporters did in Vietnam, including, I remember even like people like Geraldo Rivera when he was young. They would report, actually see what's going on. They would report it. They'd be there with wounded guys. Guys would be screaming. And you don't see that today. They make sure you don't see that stuff because it would shape the American public's opinion of what the war is, because it'd be so tragic. So back then they would show you a lot more than what they show you now.
As for his feelings about Nixon, Gutierrez has the utmost respect for him and even attended his public funeral in Yorba Linda when he passed away in 1994.
I may not agree with his politics, but I respected his position as president, and I felt as a military police at that time that I would do everything in my power to make sure nothing would happen to him. So anyway, I felt a special attachment to him.
And as for his views of the world, they were forever changed by the time he spent in the United States Air Force.
My morals, my ethics, the way I look at politics now was completely different from when I went in. I was gun-ho, naive, and now I know a lot of things about the politics of the world, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, the wars we get in. And knowing what I know now, I wouldn't send my son to none of these wars.